So, hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming in, logging in on Zoom, or if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm Dave Sutlefadius. I'm the secretary of the Green Party of Monroe County. Um, Usually, in a meeting, we go ahead and just introduce ourselves and all that jazz. But if you don't mind, because we're recording, I'm going to go ahead and just get to the meat of why we're together, and then we can do the when I hit stop record, we can do all the hobnobbing and introduce ourselves and all that jazz. I just thought that would be a more appropriate way to do this. So if you're watching this, you're curious on how to write in Jill Stein's name on the ballot for president this year in 2024. We're not going to talk about how it got that way. We can talk about it after the recording. Um, there's a lot of stuff online and how it got to be where we have to write in New York State. I will say this before we get into the how to, that with or without New York's Jill being on the ballot in New York, she is still on enough ballots where she can get over 500 electoral votes. So there, for folks say she can't win, that means because folks won't vote their values, right? So she is able to win. It's whether people will actually make that happen. So it is no fault of her own. The system says she is eligible to win. We just have to make it happen. And I can't help it. I got to say one more time. So voting for Jill will also help local candidates. And we're going to talk about that at the back end of this as well, because 130,000 votes in New York State means the Green Party gets its ballot status back. And for example, someone who might be running for city council next year, like me, would go from needing 2,000 petition signatures to about, I'm guessing, 50. It's a pretty big difference. So it really does make a difference, your vote for Jill. So let's just get right to it. And I'm going to start by sharing my screen because I went and got this yesterday, my sample ballot. And this is what it's going to look like. And if you can see in that first column, it says electors for president and vice president, and you see your choices. And I just have to call it out if you don't mind. The two third parties have, what a shock, the same candidates as the Democrats and the Republicans, because that's how it rolls here in New York. So if you want to write in Jill and Butch, you would go to the last box in this first column, right? Where it says write in. And I'm not going to even pronounce the Spanish because that's just embarrassing for me. And I'm not going to do that. So you go to this last column and where it says write in, and can I highlight it? Are you going to let me? A little bit. This last box. And that's where you're going to put it. Now, unlike the other boxes, you have to write in two names, right? You got to put in, because if you see, like the very first box, you have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. So the state party, the Green Party of New York State, talked to the State Board of Elections, and I don't know how long it took. I don't know if Chris wants to comment on that later. Seemed to take a while because it's a government bureaucracy. And we were told that the following is what you should write. And if you've seen the graphic that's been on social media or on the little palm card thing we have, you may have already seen it, but I will show it to you right here. I don't know if I probably have to stop and then redo it, I believe. So here it is. And this is what you got to write. Now, I think when this was developed, it might go county by county. Depends. Some ballots may have the little bubble, right, that you would have to fill in saying you're doing a write-in. Monroe County does not have that. So we do not have the bubble, and that's fine. But this is what you write in. Jill Stein / Rudolph Ware. Now, if you're on social media and you follow our candidates, it is Butch Ware, but you need to write in on the ballot Rudolph. Okay. And with a PH, not an F. So That's really that easy. You just got to do it legibly, please. Take your time and just that's all you got to write in. I mean, it's nothing that complicated. You just got to know where the little box is, which is at the bottom of column one. And that's how you write it in. It does not have to be in all capitals, just legible. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking for a moment and see, and I'll stop sharing and see if there are any questions on that, either in the chat or if someone wants to come in with their audio or anything like that. Yes, sir, Paul.
So if I fill in a box then and I put in Ware, which is probably what most people are going to want to do, let alone most people will do. Or if I put in the box and I fill in just Jill Stein, will that get counted?
I don't know myself. Chris
We
might
need,
know more than me. And I have an opinion how I think that would roll, but Chris might know for sure.
Um, I don't know 100% for sure, but I would strongly advise not to just write Jill Stein, because there are issues and without going into too much detail, there is currently a debate going on in another state where there was a vice presidential substitution, right? And it's Ohio, and they're threatening to like not even count any votes for Jill Stein because of that. She'll be on the ballot, but they're saying they won't count them. So I would just be on the safe side and make sure that you write them both.
Paul, I assume you're not asking for you. You're just asking for anybody else who's like not on this or not watching the YouTube or not seeing the graphic. Um, there's only so much we can do. I mean, we're on social media, starting to go to places, which, by the way, I want to talk about once we get done with this part about ways we can tell people. So I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because I do want to give folks some ways to spread the news about this.
Can I just add
yeah,
that writing this in with all the different ways this could go wrong makes dangling Chad look like, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I would love to just have to risk a dangling Chad in this. I would love that. And this is that much harder. It's crazy. It's insane, and I'm just incensed.
well, yeah, it's not our world. We're just a part of it, right? Like we didn't make the rules here, so all we can do is tell as many folks as we can. And again, I have some stuff for us that we can do if you have time and different ways for us to spread the word on that. It's like what Chris was alluding to. We didn't say flat out is just the not necessarily the Board of Elections, but people who might challenge things will look for any reason to drag this out because we're already seeing this. Democrats will just continue to sue and sue and sue so that there's court costs and lawyer fees. And, we're the Green Party. And for us, green doesn't stand for money, right? Green stands for the environment, sort of. So that's one of their tactics to try to eliminate us is to continue to nitpick us legally so that we just can't fight anymore. So we don't have the money, the resources to do that, which is one of the reasons I keep giving to the Jill Stein campaign is because they are fighting the fight in courts all around the country and including New York. So it's not just here. That fight's going on in states all over the place. If you've been following their social media, New Hampshire and Nevada, and like Chris is saying in Ohio, which actually I didn't know about. And I know there's been some others as well, Georgia, and we've won most of them, right? Yeah, in Buffalo, that's those stamps were handed out. Yeah, I don't know if we have time to do that, but we do have some things that we've already started, and I'll get to that in a second. So if I can, for just 1 second, because while we're on the ballot, I want to show you one more thing that's on the ballot that's also you can talk about. Please, in fact, this and social media and other places as well. There we go. So here is back to the ballot again, and this is the front side or page one or whatever you want to call it. A lot of folks don't tend to turn it over and look at the back. There is one referendum, and it's a yes vote that that votes for the Equal Rights Amendment in the New York State Constitution. The Green Party is strongly advocating that folks vote yes. It is part of our national platform for a national Equal Rights Amendment, and having it pass here will help advance it nationally. I don't even want to tend to be a constitutional scholar, so I'm not going to try and get really in depth with that. But I can tell you the Greens are saying, yes, please turn your ballot over and vote yes for the only referendum that's on there. Okay. So we did one little thing on social media. We'll be ramping that up a little bit more in our emails, as well as any other way we can get that out there as well. I think it's mostly going to be online. I don't know how much we'll be able to do in terms of face-to-face, but just wanted to let folks know who are watching this YouTube video, or y'all are watching it live. So if you have any questions about how to write stuff in or anything with the ballot, we can get back to that in a second. Let me give you some ways that you can tell folks about this. So one of them is obviously social media. The Green Party of Monroe County and the state parties as well, if you follow them on Facebook or any other social media outlet, has been posting things on our outlets, if I may be redundant, and liking them, sharing them, saving them, anything that boosts, that affects the algorithm and gets the word out to folks. Even if it only reaches 4 viewers, that's 4 more people that didn't know before. And it all counts, right? So asking other people to take this and share it as well. And as I know, just about everybody on this Zoom meeting, when we do this, we get some pushback, right? It wasn't the goal to talk about this. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get folks who, are nice people who don't kick puppies and stuff like that, but they insist blue no matter who. And I would not tell you, I'm not going to advise you on how to deal with that. But just to say it out loud, that there will be. Someone's going to come back and say, but the Orange Goblin, right? So that probably will happen. But this is the way we got to get it out. It has to be word of mouth. And there's online, social media. Also, if you saw our email, we have already started going to the public market on Saturdays. We have the graphic you saw. There was a front and back of this square palm card that we have. And I was there at the public market last Saturday. And honestly, it really went well. I had 2 people irrationally yell at me about Trump. I had one person do something about Putin. I still didn't quite understand exactly what she said. And as she was walking away, okay, I knew what she said. And I had 2 people earnestly come up and ask me, don't I think I'm giving the election to Trump? And we had good conversations. They didn't necessarily agree with me, but they didn't throw food at me, and there was food all around us. So they had ample opportunity. And so other than that, it went really well. People thought, oh, yeah, awesome, just what I needed. And yes, I'm looking for somebody. Yes, even had somebody who was really despondent about RFK dropping out and said he was going to write in Jill Stein because of it. I'll take it, whatever. So it actually has been going very well. And we will be at the public market every Saturday up through the election. And if we run out of the palm cards, we had 3,000 of them made, we're going to get more printed. So we will do it up until this last Saturday of election, right before election day. I can totally create walk lists for anybody if you wanted to go to door to door. There is something called a lit drop where you don't knock on a door, you just leave it at their door. Studies have shown that really doesn't have a huge effect. So I wouldn't advise that too much. It's the face-to-face conversations that tend to work. to a degree. So, but if there was something you want to, I could create walk lists for anybody in your own neighborhood or another place that you think that would be more green friendly and open to it. I can totally do that, right? So you just gotta let me know either here or through an email or social media or whatever. Just shout out. I really, as weird as it sounds, I actually enjoy creating walk lists. It's a strange thing that I have, and it keeps me out of trouble. Um, so the ERA, oh, and there's one other thing in terms of there's the public market. There is also, and we missed tonight, but next Tuesday, which would be the 8th, I believe, is the last night for the West Side public market or farmers market, I believe they call it. It's over off of Genesee Street, and that goes from 4 to 7. I have a previous commitment that I need to be at, or else I would be at that. But if there is anybody who would be interested in me giving you the lit to do it, I can totally give you a quick. Really, the only training I had, I can tell you, is I would just say, "Here, you have more choice in November." That was it, and it like I said, it worked pretty well, and just about everybody took the lit. So it went really well. And if you've never been to the West Side Farmers Market, it's actually pretty cool. A lot smaller than obviously the one over at on Railroad Street, but it's a really cool market over on the West Side. So that is an opportunity if anybody's interested in that. And yeah, that's what I have for how to do this. So before I stop recording, let me just throw it up one more time. Are there any questions, anything I forgot, anything I should explain better before I stop recording and post this? All right. Hearing nothing. I will stop
Yes.
recording.
Wait.
Oh, all right, Paul. Yeah.
Um, Shoot. So, because your sample has the bubble, I just want to make sure people don't do something like, oh, create a bubble themselves and fill it in. I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but we really ought to have a picture and have a picture so they can know how to fill it out and totally ixnay the bubble. I really believe believe it or not, that's a very important thing. In addition to spelling out the names, ixnay the bubble and hand that picture out as opposed to one with a bubble in it.
Nobody here created the graphics, to be honest with you, so I don't have a way to edit it. Yeah, I have a crudely made one that really looks bad. I'm Chris, if somebody wrote in their own bubble, would that void it?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think in like a stray mark would necessarily invalidate the ballot.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, it's hard to say, right, with the voting machines, right? Um, if we don't have circles, right, are they, how are they programmed, right? I'm a computer guy, right? Are they looking for like if maybe if they don't see any circles, right? Any circles filled in, then they count the write-in vote. And then like if you put your own circle, that would somehow make it not counted. But maybe it's not that way, right? I mean, like I can't really say. Like I would not put the bubble in there, right? I mean, I would go ahead and put one in there if it's not there, right? But whether or not that invalidates it is really,
Okay.
it's
Well, Paul, you bring up a good point, and I don't know
I
if
think we should know that answer.
well, we can look into that, but I will also in descriptions, both in emails and on social media, I will make sure to note, and I wrote that down, that not to make a bubble. So we'll do the best we can. And again, they're the powers that be, Democrats, are setting up every kind of roadblock, hoop, hurdle, whatever metaphor you want to use. Um, and we'll just do our best to get around it. And just like we've been doing for 30 plus years, right? And we'll just keep at it. So,
I'm sure
yeah.
when Joe wins New York State, the Democrats will deploy every lawyer to challenge the result.
So
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah, go for
to.
it, Paul.
Okay. So who is the current Democrat in charge of the voting rules here? What do you call that person?
Commissioner of Elections?
Yeah, who's the current commissioner of elections? What's that person's name
Statewide or in Monroe County?
in Monroe County?
I know one of them. In fact, I was just there last night. If you can give me a second, I can tell you. One of them I know is Jackie Ortiz, former city council member.
Okay.
Um, and if you can give me a second, I just gotta do some fancy clicking.
So the reason I'm getting at that is because everybody here knows of Jackie Ortiz. And I imagine we really want to
Oh,
put pressure on the Board of Elections to make sure that Green Party, the third parties are fairly represented in this by demonstrating that this person will do everything they can to make sure that there's no dangling chad, so to speak.
the other one is Natalie Shepard, who we also know, who used to be a school board member, I believe. I don't want to get into detail for reasons I would love to tell you when we're not recording, but historically, countywide, where the county's concerned, the Board of Election actually hasn't been that unfriendly toward us. They haven't been super helpful sometimes, but they haven't gone out of their way to hinder us. It's more at the state level. Um, there's been some little passive aggressiveness on occasion throughout the years, but nothing really that bad. And so any little thing we've been able to work around without a problem. The really big stuff has been at the state level. So I'm not, and that would be a state party for the Greens to deal with. Um, so I'm going to hit stop record and then we can talk a little more freely. And if you're watching this on YouTube, now you're going to wonder what we were talking about, right? Next time, sign up for the Zoom. And hopefully we'll see you at the public market. You can, if you go to gpomc.org, you can, if you're not on our email list, you can get on our email list and then you'll find out when we'll be at the public market.
Dave, I'm reading the ballot marking instructions for the absentee ballot.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it
absolutely.
says,
Awesome.
any other mark or writing or any erasure made on this ballot outside the voting boxes or blank spaces provided for write-in may void this entire ballot. So that suggests to me that you don't want to confuse things by adding stuff that's not there. So I just want to highlight that. I think that's confirmation that we don't want to be putting.
Okay. Well, I will in every possible way, and I will repeat it in various, as someone who runs the one of the people who runs the social media stuff for the local Greens, and I will make sure that that gets mentioned many times. And if anybody asks me any questions in face-to-face, I'll just make sure I mention that as well. Thanks.
Okay.
So as I was saying, you can get on our email list if you go to gpomc.org. And there'll be times and when we're going to be at the public market and other opportunities to hand out lit to people. Like I said, it's been actually pleasant's a strong word, but it's actually really been okay. Actually, no, it has been pretty cool. I've had some good conversations with folks. You should
Where do you meet?
I usually tend to be like right at on Railroad Street where like the empanada stand is.
Mm-hmm.
That general area. And then if there's more than one or two people, somebody else can go to the other side of the public market over by Union Street.
Would you have the print material there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. It's in my car. It's easily accessible.
Okay.
We'll have plenty.
Okay.
So let me hit stop and then we can talk about some other stuff.
What time? What time?
Well, that's where I'm thinking last Saturday I was there at 8. And that was cool. And I don't have a problem with that. But I thought I lasted till about 11. I thought I'd start later this Saturday at 10 and get a later crowd. And then maybe go back to 8 the next week and just kind of, I don't think I can do a full 8 to 2.
Yeah.
That's a little mind numbing, but I'm just kind of adjust. So I think this Saturday, And if you're watching this on YouTube, you might have to check the date for the 5th. I will be at the public market at 10.
10. Okay.
And again, posting on social media, all that kind of jazz. And we will tell. And if you have an idea, if you're watching this and you have an idea of your own, by all means, just holler out. I mean, if you just say, hey, I got this idea, I just need the lit. No problem. I will totally get that to you. That's no problem. Okay.